Hey, heads up. We talk about serious, sometimes uncomfortable shit on this podcast. But don't worry, hopefully you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Coping chaos.
In this episode, we mention the topic of suicide, self-harm, grief, and pet loss. Please listen only if you feel safe with these topics.
Thanks for joining us for Coping Chaos, a podcast about coping with the chaos of daily life while also navigating the uncertainties of mental illness. I'm Leah Williams.
And I'm KJ Servey. We're not medical professionals in any way, but we like to say we're not experts, but experts in our own mental health. And we want to have a conversation with anyone who's been affected by mental illness in any way.
Exactly. Well, hello.
Hi.
We're here again. It's been a couple of weeks since we've recorded, and we're raring to go.
Yeah. No, this is exciting. And I feel like we have 5 episodes live,
Yes.
one more out tomorrow. So it's real.
Yeah, I know. It still feels unreal, even though it is real.
And there's downloads. We know somebody's listening.
Yes, exactly.
And we've heard from a few people, but we want to hear from all of you.
Yes, exactly.
So what's been happening with you?
Well, a lot of random weird things, but the biggest news is we got a new car.
Yay.
So woo-hoo, finally not having to walk everywhere.
Nice.
It's a cute little car, and it's amazing how freeing it is to
Yeah.
have a car. I was telling my husband Ryan just how important a car is for me, because it's like having a traveling safe space kind
Definitely.
of thing. So like now going to the store, I feel much more comfortable. Going to the doctor's office, I'm like, oh, I'll just go hide in my car if I have to. You know, I have a place.
Yeah.
So that's nice. It's really nice. But how about for yourself?
Yeah, so right now I've been doing my TMS treatment that I've talked about in past episodes. I think I'm at like 15 or so, somewhere in there.
Which is on Patreon, right?
I do have a journal. We call it Treatment Tracker.
Yes.
And so I have pictures, and I've written about most days. Sometimes I combine both days because honestly, there's not a lot that's going on yet.
But it's still so interesting. You guys got to check it out. You got to go look at it. It's so interesting to see the process happening on video.
Yeah, and I also talk about the texts and what we talk about because there's not really too much, but it's kind of funny, the 2 different texts and the 2 different conversations we have. So I'm doing that. I haven't really had any improvement. I have a headache in the area, but I'm just not being negative. Again, it's hard for me to be positive or hopeful, but I'm just trying not to be negative.
Yes,
That's my only goal right now. I can't really do
Well, it's
more.
good to have a goal. So.
Yeah. Last night we went out to dinner because it's my 19th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's quite a commitment, really.
It surprises me every day. I'm like, what?
It's hard to get that long in a relationship for many people just because you change so much through the years.
Yeah, definitely.
And then with our mental health issues and stuff, it's
And
really an
physical
accomplishment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today's episode we're calling Messy Mind. We're going to be focusing on all the messy shit inside of our brains, like intrusive thoughts, inner monologue, imposter syndrome. We'll give you some explanations on each of these things in case you're sitting there like, what the heck are these things?
Right.
I think we wanted to start with some stories, how we've been affected by these things, and I'll probably let you start first. Okay.
So this is kind of has to do with how my mind, even though I know something in my rational mind, my mind is saying, but maybe this is happening. And I think I've talked about those kind of situations on past episodes.
Yeah.
I know every time I've been talking to Leia, I'll be like, but I know this, but my brain is saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So I woke up at like 6:30 one day and I heard about a pedestrian hit and run on a street kind of in our neighborhood. Well, it is, but it was kind of a ways down. My 21-year-old lives right off of that road.
Oh.
But a couple miles off. And I knew it probably wasn't her.
Yeah.
I knew it because my husband had picked them up from a concert and dropped them off a little after midnight. And it's a long walk, but they're 21, we do stupid shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Their friend, because
maybe they met somebody on the way.
Yeah, and they didn't have a vehicle at that point, so they would be walking. Even though I knew they were probably just zonked out.
Yeah.
My husband said that they were sleeping in the truck on the way home. But I read it at like 6:30 in the morning, and the article said the woman was getting CPR in the ambulance. So it was obvious she probably had passed away. Later, I saw another article and she had, but it was pretty obvious. So I knew she was sleeping, but I just texted her and I'm like, hey, there was an accident near you. Can you just please let me know that you're okay?
Yeah.
I hate
just
that
for your insides to feel better.
And again, I knew it wasn't her, but I just needed her.
You needed that confirmation.
Exactly. And I just kept going, and I didn't hear from her all day. She did not respond. I was like, come on. All you had to do is put a thumbs up on her.
Like it.
Yeah,
something.
And I'm like, okay, good. So then by 6 p.m., I sent another text. Because I'm like, hey, you should be up by now,
I'm getting a little worried.
Yeah. I'm like, I just want to know. And I had asked Lucas, I think, right before that. I'm like, have you heard from Zane? She's more likely to text him. She doesn't text either of us a lot, but she texts him and not me. But anyways, that's something else. He said no. And then like after I sent the second text to her, he was like, wait, I had sent her something about a car. She was looking to buy a car. And she did respond to that. And I was like, fuck her.
What the heck?
And literally,
I'm over here stressing for hours.
I know.
You're stressing for hours and you're like, what the heck?
And she still never texted me. Never. And until we were on a trip and I sent her a picture of her baby cousin and she's like, oh, he's so cute. And that was days later.
Ugh.
But she had never texted
been like, well, good to know you're alive.
I know.
Like, God.
But I don't want to make more tension, you know?
No, I get it. I get it.
But that's where my brain was just going and making scenarios. And again, I knew that was probably not her.
That the likelihood was very slim. But just the fact that there is any kind of a chance at all, that's all it takes.
Exactly. Yeah, it was rough. And mostly because I was like, come on, dude, you can just give me a thumbs up. That's all you got to do, But
yeah, minimal effort, anything. Yeah.
And she knows, like, both my kids know my anxiety, and sometimes they get annoyed, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
They're like, you think
my daughter especially, she'll be like, ugh, dang it.
Oh, you think everything bad's going to happen because you watch all this true crime. And I'm like, it's called true crime.
For a reason.
It happened.
That's hilarious. But exactly.
Yeah. So what about you?
Oh, that would be a hard one. Well, for me, this actually, I was telling you before about this old woman that lived in our building who recently passed, which I'm really sad about because we were starting to become really good friends. This situation I'm talking about was before this. This is probably like 2 weeks ago. She had given us a bunch of food that she had bought from Costco or something, but she ended up not wanting to eat it. And so she thought of us, which was so sweet. And she gives us this food. And I'm thinking to myself afterwards, like, I really want to thank her. And I'm like, I want to make a card. And so I, tell Saya, like my daughter, Saya, I really want to make a card for this woman. And she's like, a card? Like, isn't that old school? I don't know. And so I'm like, maybe that is weird. Maybe it'd be too weird to say thank you with a card, So for like days, I'm like wanting to make a card. Should I make a card? And my inner thoughts are like, is she even going to care? Or is she going to think it's weird that I'm going so overboard thanking her for something that maybe she's thinking is so small. It's not a big deal. And so my inner monologue just, it talked me out of it. And now, 2 weeks later, she has passed from cancer. And I feel like I'm always going to regret the fact that I didn't do that. I kept thinking, man, she probably could have appreciated that more because of the fact that it was towards the end of her life. And she suspected it, but nobody knew what was wrong with her.
Yeah.
But it was just such a big thing. I self-doubted so much and took one little word from somebody else as like a hyper fixated self-doubt to the point that I just didn't do it. And now I really wish I had, even though she would have only have enjoyed it for those 2 weeks. But like, to me, I feel like she would have liked it. And I wish that I had done it. And it's going to be something I know is going to bother me for many years to come. So.
I think, she would have appreciated that you appreciated it.
Yeah, that's exactly. And so like you said, part of me is like rational, like she would like it. She's a woman that's older and by herself, and she wanted to give you the food because she saw what a great family you are. Because she even said, like, I see you with the kids and you guys all look like you have so much fun. And so, like, going with that, my mind rationally is like, she would like that. But then there's that tiny part of me that, like, is like, no, that's too much. You're going too far. You might be trying to make a relationship with somebody that doesn't want one. Or, just all these things. And now I'm like, dang it, why the heck did I not do it? So.
Yeah, well, I know we tried to put some positives in, and I think maybe now you'll kind of push through that sometime.
Oh, yeah, because I'll be reminded of that. Yeah. So, it is kind of a negative, positive thing. That is a good way to look at it, actually.
Because if you have that gut, no, should I, and be like, oh, I remember when I regretted it.
And I regret it still.
And if they throw it in the garbage, that doesn't...
So what? I won't know. So really, in the end, I'll be happy. So it's fine. But that's a huge example of why my inner monologue totally got to me, which is one of the first things we're going to talk about is inner monologue. I'll just start with the definition first. It's an inner monologue in the words and thoughts that we hear in our minds, acting as a silent form of self-talk for planning, problem-solving, self-reflection, and organizing thoughts. It can often feel like a narrative, a conversation, a movie, or even like a combination of those things. Some people will say, oh, I see pictures instead of words, or I hear words of another person. But for me, it's definitely inner monologue because I can hear my own words. So
definitely. And then with mental illness, this includes overthinking, over-explaining, ruminating. That's one of our favorite words.
Yeah, ding, ding.
And then rehearsing, planning. We've talked about that before too. Negative self-talk. And then running through every bad thing in your life.
At 3:00 in the morning. We've talked about that too.
And everything that could happen. And that's just to name a few.
Exactly. When I was thinking about inner monologue and what things that stuck out to me the most of what I have problems with, I think one of the biggest ones is over-explaining. Even in this podcast, I probably do it. But I over-explain to everyone. I'm talking like the random guy on the bus. How are you doing? Oh, well, I bumped my foot earlier, but my toe isn't swelling as bad as it was an hour. And he's sitting there like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are you? And he's like, fine. I'm like, crap. I did it again.
Yeah, I do that too, like telling a story and then like, oh, but I got to tell you this part first. And and they're like, okay, I just wanted to know when you were going to do this or how that thing went, your party or your meeting,
But for me, I feel like there's always like context. So I have to give you that context before you can truly understand the perspective I'm trying to come from. But then it's over explaining. So that's definitely a big one.
I wrote here, like, for the rehearsing and planning, that's a big one for me.
Oh, yeah.
I think of every scenario and what I would do and, for no reason. I'm just like, oh, if this would happen, one thing. And luckily, this has never happened. I'm afraid. So I have a handicap parking thing, and I've had it probably now for 4 or 5 years. But I'm always so afraid because sometimes I don't use my cane. Sometimes I'm in more pain than, so maybe people would think I don't need it. So
that, like confrontation type of thing.
Every time I park, I'm like, is it going to be the day?
And what am I going to say? And what are they going to say? And how would I respond if they say this way?
And I always have like these sassy things. And I know I wouldn't say.
Right? But you want to.
Yeah. I wish I could. I don't have the guts or whatever to do that. But that goes just over and over.
Oh, yeah. I do that a lot. Like if I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm like, well, I'm going to go through the checkout line. She might ask me how I'm doing. Am I going to say how I'm doing? Or am I going to just try to say only fine? Or
Yeah. I have a really funny example about my inner monologue. Last year, I work at a school, and at the end of the school year, they had like a party for us.
Oh.
And so I was pretty brand new, and so I didn't know a lot of people. There were 2 people that I knew from one of the schools I work at, and they were like, hey, KJ, blah, blah, blah. And so I kept thinking, do they really want, like, I was following around. We ate our food together.
Okay.
Do they really want to hang out with me, or they just feel sorry for me, or whatever?
Oh.
And I know that wasn't true. But then we got our ice cream, and we sat on the steps to eat it. And I was sitting there, we were just having a conversation, and I'm like, they look so natural sitting on the steps. How should I be sitting on the steps? I look weird. Should I sit like this?
No.
They must think I'm weird. And they didn't give a fuck how I was sitting on the stairs.
Or am I licking this ice cream strange? Am I doing too much?
Am I going too fast?
Yeah.
Am I going to finish it before?
Oh my gosh.
So, why?
We're
why,
so
why?
alike in that.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Well, see, I think for me, one thing that goes right into that is tone. I have the biggest thing where somebody will say, I'm fine. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't say it like you're fine. You know, like you said it like you're not fine. And now I need to know why. Like,
Yep.
I don't care if you say you're fine. Now I know you're not because of your tone, and I'm not going to stop bothering you until you tell me what's wrong. And then finally they're like, you know what's wrong is the fact you keep freaking asking me what's wrong.
Are you sure?
Are you sure you're not mad at me?
And they're like, well, now I am.
Yeah, right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the negative self-talk I was looking on here, and it's like every little thing I do, and it may not even actually be wrong, but I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh my God, you're just an idiot.
Or like, why'd you do it that way?
Yeah.
Or
it definitely, like, I'll be like, any little thing, and my brain will just be like, I want to die. And I'm like, you just spelled something wrong, or you hit send on an email before you were finished. It's not a big deal, you know?
But it's just like, I just want to disappear and not have to deal with any of the outcome of what I just did right now.
And then my intrusive thoughts click in, which we'll talk about those later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I know for another thing with the inner monologue thing that I was going to talk about is like filling out paperwork. I know we were kind of talking about that, but it made me think like anytime I go to the doctor's office and they like ask you like other, and I'm like, well, and then they're like, oh, are you doing okay? And then they, fill out this anxiety survey, fill out this. Yeah. And like at first I used to be I would write everything I was feeling, everything I was thinking. Well, I learned from that one. Right. Because they just send you to the hospital. So I learned, don't do that, guys.
Well, when I am filling those out, like when I'm not in the mental health appointments or whatever, I'll be like, I'm getting help for that. I know that looks really bad.
Right.
But
I swear I'm working on this.
Definitely.
No, or else like questions they'll ask me, I'll overthink it. So I'll be like, what are they really asking and why? Why are they asking this? And how should I answer it so that it's the way that they want me to answer it?
And then that's kind of rumination,
Yes, exactly.
I think all these things we're talking about, I ruminate and I think over and over about it. And,
to the point I'm sick of thinking about it, but I just keep doing it. It's just go away. I'm so tired.
Well, it's funny, I mentioned I've been married to my husband almost 19 years in a few days. And I still, every day, I'm like, he's going to leave me. Why is he even with me?
Yeah.
I just can't stop thinking that 19 years, how did he put up with me? I'm such a burden. And,
right? I think the exact same things. That's the worst because it's like they've been with you this amount of time, like how long is it going to take? And I know my husband's asked me that, like, how long is it going to take before you believe me? And I'm like, it's not that I don't believe you. I believe you when you say it, but I need to keep hearing it. I need the constant validation that you still love me just because. I don't know why, but I do.
And I'm like, I know. You tell me all the time. Your
actions speak it.
You hug me, you kiss me, you go out of your way to text me, I love you. If you didn't love me, you wouldn't do all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And our health, our mental health, physical health, he wouldn't have been here this long.
Exactly. My husband would not have put up with that stuff if he didn't love me. But
exactly.
I'm still going to question it.
So one more thing I had put under this inner monologue is catastrophizing.
Oh, yeah.
I had to look up if that was the right word, but it was.
New word to learn for the day. And I'm so glad to learn it because I do that all the time. Everything. And one common one is like, I'll be going down the stairs and I'm like, kind of sort of trip. And I'm like,
What if I would have fallen? What if I would have hit my head? And then what would I have done? Oh my God, my family would come in and I would bleeding out on the floor. And all I did was kind of shuffle a little bit and trip. But everything. But that's just like a really good visual one that I can think of.
Exactly.
Well, are we ready to talk about imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with the definition as well. So imposter syndrome is where individuals doubt their accomplishments and skills, fearing that they are frauds who will eventually be exposed despite external evidence of their competence, often attributing success to luck rather than ability.
I do that so much.
This is like the description of me. I think I should be picturing me
right
by
I'm
that
like,
definition.
that should be just pointing at me while they're saying
every day of my life. I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough. Why are they saying that?
Yes, exactly. I think for me, because I'm a writer, I do it a lot. I'm like, you're you're an author. And then part of me's like, am I though? I only write romance. I don't write, because some people will see it. And so my brain's like, I'm not an actual author because for whatever reason, I'm not a writer for whatever reason, but then it's like, no, that's not true. Or I'm like, oh, I was just lucky that people like this particular genre. It's not my writing, but the genre I'm writing that they like, all these different things where I keep telling myself, I'm not a good writer. I'm not actually an author. I'm just doing this little thing. And eventually I'll figure out that that's not me or, just something, but I've been doing it now, 5 years. So it's like, it's actually one of the longest hobbies I've ever had, and I guess I could say I am an author, but even saying it now, it feels wrong. Like I'm lying, even though I know I'm not.
I have a very similar example, and any compliment, I'm just like, they're just saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Or, or I give a response why that's not true. Oh, no.
I think you've done that to me before. Like, I complimented your mohawk, and you're like, yeah, but it's a little bit sideways today. And I'm like, girl, just take it. It looks good.
But I've worked on another podcast for 5 years editing, and I love editing, and I know I'm a good editor to a point.
Oh, you are. There you're doing it. You're doing it.
But,
live.
But the host, especially the one that I talk to the most, who's always giving me the descriptions and letting me know what's happening, she's always says things like, we couldn't do this without you. You are magic, work your magic. And she says, you make us sound like we know what we're doing. She says all that. And I'm like, she would say that to anybody. Anybody could do this, and all this stuff. Even though when I'm editing, it's so funny. My husband will be in the room and I'll be like taking out something and trying, because sometimes it's hard to make it smooth.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll do it and I'm like, oh, yeah, I got that, So I get that pride, but when I hear it from them.
But if somebody paid me $1 million to edit something, I would have no idea. I would try my darndest, but I would not be able to do it.
I mean, I went to school for video and audio, so I had a little bit of a head start. But also there was another audio project. I worked with a artist about a year ago, and it was really hard. There was a lot of interviews for this art exhibition, and she had done interviews like that were really bad sound quality, so I worked really hard to raise it and make it sound the best, but then I'm like, but does it sound the best? And are people gonna know that it wasn't me?
Right, that you did the best with what you had.
Yeah, and she knew that. She's like, you did a great job, and sometimes she'd be like, can you do this? And I'm like, I did everything. And she's like, okay,
Yeah.
But still, when she said, thank you so much, you did a great job, and I'd be like, did I?
Did I really? I don't know.
But I know I worked my ass off, and
then when you look back at the hours you spent on it and stuff.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that I'm just like, no, anybody could do that. They're just saying that, to be nice.
When we could not actually do that. And you do have skills.
Well, I'm not a writer either. And that's why I'm like, can you write the description? Because I would use ChatGPT.
No, I get that. Well, I also think another thing that I think a lot with imposter syndrome is being a mother. It's like, I am a mother, but I also I personally feel not everyone who has children is a mother, if that makes sense.
Oh.
It's like you can be a biological parent, but I don't think you can be a mother or a father unless you're truly being that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. The definitions of things is really important. So that's why I always view that. So for me, mother means something more than what it probably means to other people. A lot of times I'm like, wow, I'm a great mom because I'm doing my hardest.
Yeah.
And but then there's times where I'll see another mom doing something that I don't do and that I think is wonderful that I wish I had done, or like teaching their child another language from the very beginning, because that's the easiest for the child to learn. And there's just so many times I wish there's things that I'm like, I'm not a good enough mom because I didn't do this, or I cherry pick as I see examples when I don't even know that mom. I don't know their story. I don't know what they're struggling with themselves. And just because they're on top of it in this one thing I'm seeing, it doesn't mean anything.
But your children are your children. And
yes,
I know,
that too,
and
as
your
well.
middle child learned all the flags of every country.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And
I mean, they learned to read very early. There's a lot of things that they did do that I'm proud of, but it's still so easy to just be like, am I a good mom? Am I what I think of the definition of a good? And then a lot of times, no, I'm not. But you know, I don't know. It's definitely something I'm constantly battling with myself as imposter syndrome, because it's just like, I don't think I'm a good mom a lot when I feel like I should, but because you are. I'm having a hard time believing it, you know?
That's interesting. I've never really thought of it like that, for myself, but my biological mother is a horrible person, and so she's not a mom to me.
No, exactly.
And our dad, I didn't really know him that much, and when I was in high school, I was crossing out Father's Day. I'm like, I don't have a father,
right?
Because it just didn't feel like that. And so, you're definitely a good mother, but
that's what I want to be. And I feel like some of the best mothers are the ones that want it, but there's also we also doubt it because we want to be so great at something that is ever changing, ever evolving, and there is no correct answer on how to do it. And for me, I want a step by step telling me this is what you do, and then you're doing it right, So
yeah, definitely. But I think, and again, this could be a positive, we see, at least I do, I'm going to say, all the things my mom did when I was young, I'm like, oh, I would do it this way.
Thinking back.
Yeah, and so taking the mistakes, the things that hurt you, and then change that. I know we both do that.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
So that's, a positive. But overthinking or imposter syndrome, I get that,
We could go on about imposter syndrome forever because there's really, I do it every day with a lot of different things, but I kind of picked the two bigger things that I worry about the most. But I also feel like those kind of go into intrusive thoughts because, like I said, it's a lot of, I'm not doing well enough. I'm not actually what I think I am. So I feel like that really helps to kind of start our talk on intrusive thoughts, which is a big one for sure. Well, I looked up the definition for intrusive thoughts just so I could kind of share with people that are like, what the heck is that? It says unwanted, distressing, and involuntary images or urges that you get. Some examples of that, there could be violent or aggressive thoughts towards others. They could be inappropriate sexual thoughts of varying degrees. It could be with relationship, which we already have covered a little bit, saying, are you sure you love me? Or the fear of being cheated on, things like that. There's also religious intrusive thoughts. And then there's the accident safety one, which is a very common one. What would happen if I stab myself in the eye with this pencil right now? Or what would happen if I jump off this bridge or whatever? So
I just want to say that this is where you should skip if you don't feel safe with self-harm and suicidal topics, because unfortunately that's what we deal with.
Intrusive thoughts, that's one of the biggest things when it comes to hard topics to talk about, but it's a huge one, and we definitely feel like we need to cover it. So here we go.
Yes. So my therapist always says, everyone has intrusive thoughts, driving over a bridge. What if I just turned over? But people who don't have these mental illnesses are like, that's weird. Why would I do that? And then just keep going on with their life.
Yeah, just going on their day, whatever.
And that was interesting because I hadn't really thought of it. Because my intrusive thoughts, I'm like, oh, I just have these. And I didn't think of people just being like,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're working towards. I did want to say that this is a huge component of OCD, which I have. So I looked up on Mayo the definition of OCD. It's just a part of it. So it's a chronic mental health condition, and it features patterns of unwanted thoughts and fears known as obsessions, and they lead you to do repetitive behaviors that are called compulsions. These obsessions and compulsions get in the way of your daily activities and cause major distress.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is just the uncontrollable part. It's
unwanted.
And unwanted. It's like going against who you are as a person or who you identify as a lot of times. And that's why you're like, what the heck? Why would I think that when I'm like this? It doesn't make sense.
Definitely.
Well, I think for me, I was looking at all these different ones and thinking, which ones do I relate the most to? And I would say the two biggest ones are the relationship, because that's a huge one for me. I am just constantly asking my husband, are you sure you love me? Are you sure you're not mad at me? Your tone sounds weird. And he's like, if you say tone one more time, I swear to God, there will be problems. But I've never had a fear of being cheated on exactly, but I have always had this fear, like, what if he meets somebody better and leaves me? Because I don't see myself as a catch. And so I'm constantly like, he could meet somebody at work at any time and that person could be like me, but the better, you know what I mean? With only the positives and none of the negatives. So I constantly have that going in my head, and I hate that because he constantly tells me he loves me. He's always reassuring me, even to the point of he's tired of it, but he still does it because he knows I need that reassurance, which also shows he loves me because he's still doing that for me.
Well, that's a big thing in exposure therapy that I'm doing. And reassurance, it's not bad, but it feeds into the OCD.
That makes sense.
So trying to, like, one of my exposures was, and I think I've talked about it before, but Lucas may or may not leave me, and then even think about, he left me, and like sit there with it for a certain amount of time and not get too distressed.
Yeah.
Even just thinking about it makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I was going to say my heart starts racing.
It's so hard for me. But that's part of it, the reassurance. They're always like, think about it before you ask. But I'm like, no, do you love me?
But that is kind of like an addiction. I didn't even think of it that. But you saying that does make sense because I'm feeding on needing that feeling I get of calm from knowing, okay, he's reassuring me now. Yeah. Whereas I need to start doing that for myself so that I can do it in any situation. So that's absolutely. So interesting. That's very interesting. The second one is also accident safety. I have a lot of intrusive bad thoughts constantly. My biggest one is, what would happen if I were to just disappear? Or I just want to disappear right now. And then I go, I'm 3 p.m. cooking noodles for the kids, going into storytelling mode in my mind about what would happen if from the moment I killed myself to what everybody would do, what people would be saying at my eulogy. I'm literally going into story mode because I'm an author, I guess, or a writer. So
that's interesting.
I'm thinking the whole thing through. I'm thinking, would they even have anything nice to say about, it's just all these things. And as I'm stirring noodles and I'm just like, this is so wrong. Like, I know I shouldn't be hyper fixating like this on this, but it's like, I'm in that mode and I can't get out of it. I'm just there. And it's not like it feels good, but it's not like it feels bad either. So I think that that's also a thing. So I don't know.
That's interesting because mine, is similar but really different. That's an interesting take. Maybe it is because you're a writer and I'm very visual.
Yeah. So you see it more.
Yeah. So my main intrusive thoughts are suicidal thoughts with a plan. I'm visual, so I see it like a movie. I see myself slicing myself, bleeding to death, and my intent is to die. So in my brain, I want to die. I want to die.
Yeah.
And multiple times an hour, all day long. This is what I went into the hospital for, so it happened before that. Again, the OCD, I don't want to die.
No.
But this is all I can think about. It's every day, and I'm like, what if I impulsively, because that's what it would be. It would be impulsive, to die. It's really rough because, again, I don't really want to die. I love my family. I do feel like a burden. I do be like, because I'm in pain. I'm like, am I going to always be like this? Is this a lie? Am I living? But then my husband wants me around. But I'm like,
but is this quality of life? Like how I think of it as it?
Yeah. And they obviously want me here. But I'm like, Am I going to go on disability and just be in bed all day long? What is that? Why am I in this world? That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And with that, one of my compulsions is hitting myself. So when I think of slicing an area, I hit it or I hit my head. And in my mind, it's like, well, at least I'm not doing that. What's in my head? Of course, I can still hurt myself. My husband's like looking at me like, don't hurt you. And I'm like,
I love you. Please don't do that.
But I'm like, at least I'm not doing this. And he's like, yeah, but I can't watch you do this. He's like, do you want me to just sit here and let you do it?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't know when I have stopped myself from doing it.
Yeah, you don't understand.
Yeah. And so it's like, there's lots of times I don't do it. Depending on the situation, like in the evenings when we're, in bed, winding down, that's when everything is in my mind.
That's actually when it happens to me as well.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something about the darkness, the moon.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a lunar thing,
Yeah.
but that's exactly when I have my issues too.
Yeah. And most of the time where it's like punching my face, and I know that sounds terrible, but...
Oh, no. I have the same kind of... For me, though, it's like I'll smack myself in the forehead with my palms just over and over, and I'm just smacking myself. But for me, it's calming, which sounds weird.
Right.
But like because of where my brain was before I started doing it, I'm now focusing on this motion versus on the thoughts. But Ryan... He hates that. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I don't do it much. For me, to get to that point actually takes a lot of stresses, but I have gotten to that point.
Most of the time, and I tell Lucas, I'm like, I haven't hurt myself too bad. I haven't gotten like huge bruises. He's like, just because you haven't,
doesn't mean it won't happen.
And I have lots of other intrusive thoughts, but really that's what I need to focus on. And it's just so hard. Like I said, I was in the hospital for it.
Yeah.
They said,
it's affecting your life.
Yeah.
So.
And there's like, oh, well, we can't do anything else for you. And that was after they shocked my brain a bunch of times. That didn't work and meds didn't work. And then, I got the implant, the vagus nerve stimulator.
Yeah.
That hasn't worked. I've had that on for a year. Now I'm doing the transcranial magnetic stimulation. Oh, I got it.
Hey, I was like, say that 10 times fast.
And... I don't know. I'm probably maybe halfway through, maybe a little less. I'm not quite sure. I haven't felt anything from that either.
No difference.
So, yeah, I can't be positive. I can't be hopeful, but I'm just focusing on not saying it won't work. Not, I'm doing everything I can.
Exactly.
So, and if I didn't try it, maybe I'd be like, well, maybe that's the one thing,
Right. So you're at least ticking every box you find and figuring out as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we were going to cover today. I know that it was a little bit harder there at the end, but, we got to say it. We got to talk about whatever it is that is on our minds and let everybody know that even though some of these topics are hard to talk about, they need to be talked about. We need this conversation to start being had. This is where we say community, we need more people. We need to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
If you have any experiences with intrusive thoughts, with imposter syndrome, with the inner monologue, we want to know. There's so much perspective that we still haven't even gotten to experience with these topics that we're just really hoping putting this conversation out here we can do that.
Yeah, that's our mission, to help break the stigma and just start these conversations.
Which is perfect. So then we can talk about our upcoming conversations.
Absolutely. And I think this was a good episode because these coming episodes, I'm sure, will include, our thoughts and different things like that.
The first upcoming episode looks like struggles with socializing. That's a big one. Whether it's friends, family, going to gatherings, or strangers even.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big one. And, this is a fun one. We're going to be discussing how we use and conserve our energy on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah, the energy bar.
I was
like a video game. That's how I think of it.
Gamer Leanna thinks of it. Energy bar. But I like that. I'd never really thought of that, but it's very visual.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And then the next one's going to be coping mechanisms, whether they're good, bad, neutral, which will have lots of good things. And we're hoping with this episode too, I want to hear more about other people's coping mechanisms. I love hearing that. That's one of my favorite things to hear because I just feel like there's got to be things I haven't tried yet.
And, any of this stuff, you're like, might be like, oh, they already talked about it, but we want to hear. And, we want to have episodes like, oh, these are what our listeners want to hear. This is what they experienced. Because, again, community.
Yes.
Because we learn from each other. And that's, Leia and I have learned, like, oh my God, you do that too, even though you get there a different way. Or
the more episodes we have, actually, the more we speak to each other, the more I am seeing not just similarities, but also differences that pique my interest. Like, oh, it's so interesting. Or even hearing your perspective on things helps me to see it in a different way. And I'm like,
same.
oh, I never thought of it like that. And I think that's so key to being able to not only accept your identity with having mental illness, but also to have a conversation with other people about it too. So,
well, I think like when you say something or tell a story, like I can instantly think of stuff, and that's what we like. Oh yeah, this.
Yeah, we feed well off each other, and if more people we have in this conversation, the more we can have that, which is exciting to me.
Well, I think it's that time.
It's the time.
All right, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, this also involves this old woman that I've been talking a lot about. She's on my mind constantly because she just passed a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I went and visited her at the hospital. Right before she passed, I saw her, and then I saw her sisters. And the next day, I hear a knock on my door, and I open it, and the sisters are at my door, and they're like, oh well, she left all of her things to you. And I'm like, wait, what?
Wow,
and they're like, yeah, for some reason, she wanted you to have everything in her room, which was not a ton of things, but I just start bawling, So I'm like, oh my gosh. So we went through, I helped them clean out the room. She had this tiny little dog named Lily, who was like a teacup Australian Shepherd. I've never seen that before. And just the cutest, tiniest little dog, tiny. So cute. Oh my goodness. God. Anyway, somebody had to come and get the dog, but they had all these dog supplies, and the sisters wanted to leave because they were already done cleaning the room. But the person that's taking the dog had to come by in a few hours to get the stuff. So I was like, well, I'll take it and keep it in my room, and then they can come pick it up from me. And they're like, oh, thank you. We were grateful. So I put the dog stuff in the room, and then probably a couple hours later, somebody's knocking on the door, somebody I've never seen before. And she's like, I'm here for the dog stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I pick it up and I hand it to her, and she's just looking at me like, is that it?
Oh.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I've babysat this dog many times. Because really what I gave her was just a bag of stuff and a bed.
Yeah.
And she's like, she had 2 beds. She'd have 3 bags full of stuff. And I'm like, oh. And she's like looking in my room, looking around, know. And I'm sitting here like, I am regretting this right now. Like, this is a big regret. I should not have offered to do this. Because I didn't even think that it could be a negative thing, you know? And so I'm sitting here like, no, they gave me a lot of things, probably digging myself deeper in this hole. I'm like, they gave me a ton of stuff, but this is all they gave me for the dog. So I'm not sure. Well, that's really odd. I'm going to have to call them to make sure. And I'm like, oh, yes, please. In fact, I insist that you do now at this point. But I'm just feeling so anxious. And then I shut the door, and I still have never heard from her again. She was angry, but I'm sitting here like, I know she's upset because her friend died, you know, so I know she's feeling a lot of feelings right now. So I can't really be too angry. But for me, it was not anger. It was like, I felt guilty, even though I did nothing. I did nothing. I just helped people.
You're the middleman.
Yeah. But for some reason, I'm like, did I miss a bag? Did I miss something? Was there something they asked me to grab that I didn't, that got thrown away or something? But I'm like replaying everything in my mind over and over. It just bothers me to think that this woman who I don't even know is thinking so negative about me.
Yeah.
It just really bothered me.
That's rough.
And I'm still thinking about it. Like, this woman thinks I did something to this dog's stuff. A woman who, to a woman's dog who just died. Like, I'm thinking, like, what does she think of me as a person? Even though I don't know her, she doesn't know me. No. It doesn't matter what she thinks, because I know I'm a good person, and I know that it's just...
That's your mantra. You should just keep saying that.
I'm a good person.
Well, and I think you were already distressed that your friend died.
I was so upset. I was still crying and upset because it happened so suddenly, and I felt... Like I said, I didn't give her the card I wanted to get her. I didn't thank her in the way that I wanted to while she was still coherent enough to receive the thanks. And for me, I was just so stressed. I felt bad. I'm crying over this lady being upset. That's chaos for you. That's it. So
for sure.
How about for yourself?
Whew, this is a tough one because this just happened last night.
Oh, yeah.
I can't cry already. So I have 2 dogs. I have a 13-year-old Cocker Spaniel English Setter mix, and she's old and she's dementia and blind.
Yeah.
And then I have a 10-year-old Chihuahua, and he has epilepsy. And he's had epilepsy between 2 and 3 years. And we see a doctor. He had a prescription for phenobarbital, and it was, I don't remember the dose, but you did it twice a day. And after a while, we ended up just doing once a day. I mean, I don't know. It was more of our routine, and it was easier. But he had been controlled of that. He hadn't had any seizures even when we gave him just once a day. We went for them to do like the blood tests and just check on him, make sure he had the medicine in his system. And we had talked to the vet about that. It was hard for me to admit. I felt kind of guilty. But I said, he hasn't had anything in the 6 months that we'd reduced it. And she said, it's not a therapeutic dose, but she's like, even if it was my dog, I think if he was controlled, I would keep it at that. And she said, if we think he's having more seizures, then we could increase it. There are going to be some seizures, even if he's controlled.
Yeah.
But we didn't have him for years. And then, he's had one once in a while. And that was kind of our plan. If he had a few, then we would call her and she'd increase it. Few days ago, I was at work, and my friend who was here with my dogs said that he had a seizure. And so I said, okay, thank you for letting me know. She'd seen us handle it. She said he had another one, which is kind of common for him. A lot of times he would have 2, close
like
together.
Back to back.
Yeah, and then he would be fine, and after a little bit of recovery. But I told her, okay, if he has another one, then I'll come home. And, it takes little less than a half hour to get home. She had texted me and said he had another one. I'm very grateful that she was here.
Yeah.
She's staying with us, but sometimes she's at the library or something, So she was actually here. By the time I got home, I think she said he'd had 5 altogether.
Oh, scary.
And then, when I got here, I held him, and then he had a 6th one. I called the vet again. Oh, when he'd had the 2nd one, I called the vet and said, okay, we need to increase. Because I didn't know there was going to be more, but that was our plan, so I did that. So he had the 7th one. I called the vet, and she said, yeah, you need to take him into emergency vet right now for these clusters.
Yeah.
So I called my husband, and this is the hardest thing. Just like when we talk about going into the ER, it's like, is it going to be worth it? And part of me feels guilty, but we had to take into consideration money.
Yeah.
And it's hard because this is our family. And so he's like, we don't have the money, but, we need to have him seen. I brought him in. They took him back, and this is the hard part. They say, can we do all life-saving measures? Can we do CPR? And I had to say no, DNR.
Yeah.
He's a Chihuahua, and there's no guarantee.
Be good for them to do that.
And so, I know everybody has different opinions, but for us, we didn't want him to suffer.
No.
There's no guarantee that would help. And so they were okay with that. I didn't feel too guilty, but they weren't very caring and which, I mean, you're at an emergency vet, you should be, but yeah. So they took him back and they said, okay, can we put IV in him when or if he has a seizure, we can get the IV meds right in. I said yes, so that's the one thing I signed. He went back and I was like, I didn't want him to have a seizure, but I also didn't want them to think I was making it up. And he hadn't had one when they went back there, and they kept coming in and talking to me, and then he did have a seizure. So they said they gave him the medication. He was all good, he's drowsy and all that. But when they kept coming in, they kept saying the non-therapeutic dose, I swear they said it 30 times.
Wow,
and
trying to rub it in or something?
I mean, I know they're matter of fact, but it just felt like, okay, you don't have to say that every time. And they're like, it's basically like you didn't give him any medication. And they said it over and over. And again, I know they're doctors, I know they're nurses, and they're just saying that, but it really felt like a dig every time.
Yeah.
Because we worked with his doctor, and whether it was the right choice or not, we were working with her.
Yeah, you went in there, you actually took him in and got him I mean, there's a lot of people that wouldn't even do that. So
yeah, and I did feel guilty that we hadn't given him a full dose, and I was honest, which was really hard for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so that was really, really hard. She's like, that's why I discourage people from letting them have clusters, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't fucking let him.
Right?
I'm like, I rushed home as soon as he had 3. And then, I'd already called my vet. I did all this stuff. I got home. I have to drive 30, 40 minutes because the emergency vets are like, there's none in my area.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to the one and it was closed. And then I went, and he had 3 in the car. Not like he had all 10 before I even took him.
Yeah, you were actively in the process. But like they said, you got to call first and all that other stuff. You can't just show up, apparently. So
yeah, and that was really rough. I guess the rule is if they don't have a seizure, they're seizure free for 12 hours, then they can go home. If they have any seizure, the clock starts again. We were a little worried about that. I mean, of course we're worried about it because of him, but also the money part, is building up.
Expensive.
And I hate bringing that up, but it's part of the stress, part of the
factor,
chaos.
Yeah.
But luckily he didn't have any more seizures. They called me first thing in the morning and they said he can go home, but he needs to be watched during the day, or you can come get him after work. And I'm like, no, I already told my work that I would work from home. Mm-hmm. And I ended up only working half day from home and taking a sick day because it was hard to watch him. And,
Oh, yeah.
I came home. He hadn't had a seizure in 12 hours or even more than that. And then he had a little seizure when we got in the door. Like I literally set him down in the bed and then he had a seizure. He did that and then he was fine. One medication is every 12 hours. One medication is 3 times a day, 8 hours apart. So I'm doing all that. That was Thursday. So the rest of the day is fine. Groggy from the medicine. That's what they said. He'd, and he's a little unsteady, which happens after his seizures.
Yeah.
Friday morning, he was really fine. I was getting ready to leave work and then go to do my TMS. My friend texted me again that he had a small seizure. And so I said, well, Lucas is on his way. He'll get home before me. So he'll take care of him, get his meds and things like that. So I went and got my treatment. Earlier in the day, Lucas and I decided that the best day for us to go out to an anniversary dinner was that day. But when I'm hearing that, I'm like, do we need to cancel our reservations? This kind of stuff. I was going to call my oldest daughter. She does live nearby. She doesn't always answer my texts like we talked about earlier, but I called her and she actually answered. I think it was her day off, so I knew she'd be home. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm marinating chicken for pasta. And I'm like, oh, nice. I really need to ask you a favor. And she knew what was going on a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I said, can you just, it's probably an hour and a half, just while we go out to dinner, just watch him. He's calmed down. He's been okay. He was doing different than seizures where his head would shake and he'd kind of curl up to the left and drool like crazy. His tongue would be out. So it was different than his seizures. So we're like, can you just go down to the basement, where it's calm and dark, and just hold him until we get back? And I was really impressed. She said yes. She loves this dog too. He's been in our lives 10 years. And that was hard. Do we want to leave? But we knew that she would let us know or she would take the best care. She's our biggest animal lover in the whole family. I mean, we all are, but she's just a different level. So I knew he'd be in good hands. It meant a lot that she actually did that because, again, she ghosts me all the time. But, she's 21 and wants to be an adult, and that's fine. I'm still a mother. We got back from dinner and he was sitting on her lap almost the whole time. She said he did a little bit of the head thing with his tongue and drilling all over. Between 8 and 9, we went up to our bedroom and that's when we watched TV and stuff. And all of a sudden he wouldn't let us hold him. And he was zooming from our bed. He'd go down he has little stairs that go up to our bed.
Oh, yeah.
So he'd go down the stairs, run, and then run back up the stairs all the way across the bed, back down. And he was falling a couple times on the stairs. Lucas is like, let's go down to the basement. It has carpet because we have hard floor. He can't get up on the couch and hurt himself. And then this running wasn't him.
Yeah.
And then we get down and he's just in circles, and just tight circles, over and over and over. And he couldn't stop. And again, we couldn't hold him. We were waiting, his next dose of the new medication was at 11. So we're like hoping maybe he'd wear off, or when we gave him the medication that it would
help somehow.
Yeah, that it would calm down, And I wanted to wait till it was time because they're like, don't give it at other times, which I understand. But we gave it to him at 11, and then it was like after 12, like 12:30, and it just hadn't helped. He was just circles the whole time, hours and hours.
Oh.
And so I called the overnight emergency vet, and they said he definitely needs to come in. We don't have a doctor because they're in surgery and he won't be here for hours.
Oh.
So they're like, here's these 3 emergency vets.
Oh, no.
Call them. This is the order I would call them in. So I called one, which was the closest to us, and that was the first one she said. And they're like, we're in the same situation. We don't have a doctor.
Oh.
We don't have a neurologist, so we wouldn't, want to take him. So then we decided to call the other one. We called, and they said, okay, he should come in. We went in, told them what was going on. They took him back and, monitored him. Again, I had to say it's okay because I checked the same boxes.
Yeah.
So I checked those boxes, and I said it's okay for the IV and the medication if he has a seizure. There was just a whole different vibe there, and it was really caring, and,
Oh, that's good.
And, if you're at the emergency vet in the middle of the night, most things aren't just nothing,
Yes.
Most are passing, so they were really kind, and it was very somber in there because, the other people, probably similar things happening.
Yeah.
The doctor came and talked to us. She basically, she was trying to, because I guess you don't know what kind of person. We're realists,
Yeah.
We understand and we don't want to suffer, but she was trying to explain all the things it could have been, but she's like, with his age and how long he'd gone without seizures and then all this other stuff, she's like, this doesn't explain it. And she's like, all the spinning and all that, it couldn't be, I forget the word, but it couldn't be because he just had a seizure, because that just happens right after.
Yeah.
And then his tongue and his head moving and the spinning, she said that was different neurological. And so it's kind of like he was escalating. From just his seizures, that it was more.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, and she offered, like MRI, but I knew she didn't really want to offer that because she knew it wasn't. And
it's not going to help anything.
Right,
it just can show you
she has to give
what
that.
happened.
She because some people, they need that.
Yeah, for closure.
I didn't need that because all I cared about was quality of life, and that's what she kept talking about. And I'm like, if I take him home now, there's nothing we can do. He'll be doing this again. And she's like, yeah, we could try steroids for 24 hours. That's a little Band-Aid, and it probably won't work. And so, we had to make the decision that quality of life, there was no way I could bring him home like that. He wasn't him. His brain was making him do these horrible things. And so we had to make the decision to let him go. And
I'm so sorry.
It was hard, but it wasn't hard. It was hard because we'll miss him.
And you love him, but at the same time, because you love him, that's why it wasn't as hard.
Yeah.
Because you want the best for him, and knowing he would be in pain and uncomfortable the rest of his life, it's not quality of life.
Yeah. So, and again, everybody was so kind. They give you a room with a couch, and they say you can spend as much time with him.
Oh, that's nice.
They came in, and they're like, sorry, but you do want to just pay now, and then because when it happens, you can just leave. You don't have to come up and pay. And so they did that. They explained everything so nicely, and everybody's just like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And they put you in the room, and I think this happens a lot, at all vets, but it just felt a little different. They weren't blaming me, and I know they weren't blaming me that much at the other one. They were just pretty cold. He was just so stressed, and he kept wanting to get out of the blanket and get out of the little bed they had him in. And so, we've had time with him, and, I didn't want to prolong it anymore. So we pushed the little button, and the doctor came in, and she explained again the medicines, and that she'd give him a sleepy medicine. He'd go to sleep, and then she'd give the other medicine, and, right away he would be gone. And so we did that because he just, he was just stressed, and so we didn't want to selfishly spend more time with him.
No.
It was hard, and but he was peaceful, and they let us sit with him as long as we wanted. It was really cool. They think about everything. They had right outside the rooms that they do that in, they just had, like, it almost looks like an emergency exit, but it's not. It's an exit, so you don't have to go back through the lobby and all that.
Oh, that's
You just went right to the parking lot.
That is nice. Because you don't want to see all that again. You just
No.
want out.
Yeah,
So.
and it was really hard. It was the right decision, but,
Sometimes the right decision is the hardest decision.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. And, then we had to come home and tell everybody.
Oh, that's hard too.
It was the middle of the night, so then,
you have to wait
morning,
to kind of tell people.
And I was kind of mad. I told Leia this, that in the car, I was like, this is fucked up in my brain. I'm like, I'm crying more thinking about telling people about what happened. And
because it feels realer, I think, that way.
I'm just thinking about others, and, then I'm judging myself when I'm not crying, and but yeah.
But you also know how much you love him and care about him, so.
And I told my friend who stays with us, I told her that I told him you love him, and she's like, I tell him every day. And I'm like, I know, but I told him everybody who loved him before he went and stuff. And so, and I told Sophie, it's a little harder for her emotions. Like, she's really sad, and but it's like she knows she's supposed to be sad. It's really hard. So it's and she's like, I knew this was a possibility. And my oldest, Zayden, is currently working, so we're waiting till she's not at work to tell her. Because
that's going to be hard for her, definitely.
And so that's chaos. Like, it took my whole few days, and then
that's days worth of chaos, just constant.
Yeah.
And you can never predict something like that ever.
Yeah.
So
it's just been really stressful.
Oh, yeah. But I'm grateful that you shared it, because a lot of people go through that.
Yeah. But it also, like, with our mental illness, I'm like, oh my God, they're blaming me. Oh my God.
Right.
And I knew I was doing the right thing. Okay, the dosage, whatever. That was a judgment call I made. And then the doctor said, okay, but second guessing things. And
so on top of dealing with the trauma of that, you also have the mental illness, which is feeding into your insecurities at the same time. Yeah. So that's even more chaos, which I'm so sorry. But I'm so grateful that you shared that. That's a hard one. That's hard.
Well, we want to hear your chaos corners too. We care, and we want to be able to share with people and relate, and maybe not relate and learn something totally new. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. So everywhere.
Yay!
We want you to find us.
Yes.
And it's all at Coping Chaos Podcast. Something that we're really excited about is our Patreon.
Yes.
We really want this community. We say it all the time.
It's our favorite word.
Yes.
So.
And so we're going to tattoo it.
Yeah, right?
And we have different tiers, but we have a free tier. So join no matter what.
Yes, please. Please.
We have decided that the chat, I started a chat, I think it says community, and we put that in the free tier. It's in all the tiers because we don't want you to have to pay to talk to us.
No, we want to hear from everybody.
So, yeah. Join the free tier no matter what. I'm going to pop things in there. Once we have people in there, then we'll really get going on that too. But I've been dropping stuff in there, and I've put other random things in there, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Yes.
But yeah, so we have the free tier. Just do that, because that's our goal of a community. There's a $3 tier to just support us. There's a couple things in there, but mostly that's just a support tier.
Which we're grateful for, too.
Anything.
The more support we can get, no matter what way it's given, the better it is for everybody.
And then our highest tier right now is $6 tier. We really wanted it to be affordable, and, you'd be able to do that. And that's where we have a lot more of the Chaos Corners and the treatment tracker, and then lots of stuff. So...
Just lots of random fun things.
Again, we're not trying to be millionaires or
no,
whatever.
No,
we
definitely
just
not.
To keep doing this, keep being able to bring it to you and build this community.
Exactly. Well, even though this was a much harder episode, I loved what we talked about, because like we were saying, this is kind of the basis of everything. It builds up everything else that we're going to talk about, has these as the base. Definitely. So it's really such a great conversation for us to have for today's episode.
I know this is going to come up in every single episode because that's what's at the core of our mental illness is our brains.
Our brains, exactly. Our messy minds.
Yeah, and we, again, want to hear from you. So we have an email, copingchaospodcast@gmail.com. No input is bad input.
Exactly.
But no hate.
No hate.
Please review where you can stream if you're able.
Yes, please.
I know we're new, but it helps us to reach more people, and it helps us know what's good, what you want more of.
Let us know.
All right. Well, the biggest thing we want everyone to know is that you're not alone in this. We want this to be a safe space to share your experiences as a community.
Exactly. Remember, we love you guys, and we thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Coping Chaos. And as always, we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Coping Chaos is hosted and produced by KJ Servey and Leah Williams. Audio mixed and edited by KJ Servey. Our theme song is by Lucas Servey and Leah Williams. Artwork is created by Lucas Servey. You can now follow Coping Chaos on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Coping Chaos Podcast. We have also started a Patreon at Coping Chaos Podcast, where you can help support us and have access to exclusive content. Please feel free to rate and review wherever you stream. Send us your questions, stories, and Chaos Corner moments to copingchaospodcast@gmail.com.